Well, guys, it looks like we are seeing the first changes to the Gauntlet / live events section of the game right now. EA in their last update teased that there would be some changes to them, and we are seeing those right now. And I think some of you will be very happy about these changes, and some of you probably will say, I don't really care because it's not that much different. But we'll get into all that, of course. We've got the new season icons leaked in terms of the silver icons. The Garincha, the Bobby Moore, the Bobby Charlton we saw in last season. We have those leaked for this next season, so that's pretty cool. Plus some buy time potential today, maybe. We'll discuss that too in the market part of the video, and then lots of other random nonsense we'll talk about, I'm sure. If you guys would like to buy coins, you can go to mmoxp.com. There will be a link in the top of the description. They're the safest and the cheapest option, and you can use my code JFC at checkout for an 8% discount. And also, guys, of course, thank you for watching, interacting, liking, commenting, whatever you guys do. I'm so appreciative of it. So let's first jump into the Scream content so far, how it's been looking, and it kind of relates to some of the changes that they announced that they would be making here just a few days back. Really, I want to say, what, 4 or 5 days ago. They said they were going to make evolutions have a bit bigger upgrades and not focus as much on these like little chain ones, it looks like. And so far we've had Phantom Fullback and Rise from the Grave and the Big Fella, and they do seem to be decent evolutions that you can tell are a bit different to the ones we've been seeing so far. Now, did they know these were coming out and it was easy to say what they said? That definitely could be the case here. Plus, these are 25k, the Big Fella, Rise from the Grave's 30k, and this left back Evo isn't like amazing at all. You need the pace to be pretty high on this one, so this one's kind of hit or miss. I saw some good cards out of it, but the Big Fella for 25k actually can be pretty worth it. And Inverted Instinct is pretty good too. So the point is, evolutions so far, are they different for you guys? Does it feel like they are early on into this response to our feedback? Do Evos feel different, or do they feel kind of the same so far this year to you guys? And actually, guys, I did Pogba, okay? I'm going to show you in 1 second. Can you guess which version I did? Just take your pick. You've got 3 seconds. Still have not used him, by the way. I was playing a bunch of drafts and selling a bunch of stuff in my club. I'm pretty much like fully liquid now at 1.3 million that I might go out and buy some stuff today. But Paul Pogba, I went out and did the Cam version of Pogba. So I actually did play 1 rush game with him. My bad. I did play 1 rush game with Pogba. I was hearing some really mixed reviews on the CDM version, and this one, I just think Incisive Plus for Pogba is just too good for me to pass up. I love Incisive Plus. Could this be a mistake? Yes, it absolutely could. But we'll have to wait and see. If you guys have been using Pogba this weekend, did you like the Incisive version, the Intercept version, whichever one you guys did? And now let's talk about SBCs next with content. So we've gotten quite a few interesting SBCs. We've talked about Busquets, talked about Jordi Alba. The Max 88 base hero upgrade came out. This all to me is a lot more interesting now that we have gotten the 85 to 87 upgrade that now you can do 5 times a day. This SBC right here, I want to give EA their credit for doing this because I think that this was just a response to us claiming we didn't have enough fodder, and I think it's really great. We've needed 83s to be valuable for so long. It's been years since 83s were valuable. If this is a thing throughout the entire year, I think this is just a great step in the right direction. What unfortunately people are now realizing about the League SBCs, of course, is that the Lib and Sud cards are getting ridiculously expensive. We talked about that in the last video too, that the prices just keep going up. They haven't even reached their like plateau yet, which is pretty crazy. I don't even know what that plateau is going to be. I personally don't. They're up to like 3+ now. 3,000 plus is what I mean. So it's just tough to really get too excited about that. But the Max 88 base hero upgrade, the fact that now you need an 85 squad and 86 squad, right? It's just so much more doable with that 85 to 87 upgrade. So I wanted to show my appreciation for that. Now let's actually get into what the changes were today that we learned about the Gauntlet. So the Ultimate Gauntlet 3 comes out in 16 hours. So it's Gauntlet day today, right? As you can see here, we have entries and it's 14 of 14. That's actually not what this was at one point. This was 4 entries over 3 separate rounds, so 12 total games was what it was. Now it's 14 total games, but there was some controversy or confusion, I should say, more like, because now that it's 14 entries, does it refresh every day? And you have 14 entries per day, so there's going to be, what, 42 entries over 3 days? Or is it going to be 14 entries in total for the Gauntlet? And to be honest, nobody really knows, but to me, there's no way it's 14 entries per day, right? That is a random number to choose. If you're going to make it 14 entries a day. That just doesn't make any sense. It's probably going to be 14 games that you play over the course of any amount of time that the Gauntlet is open. So what it's kind of turned into is more so a weekend league based thing rather than a, hey, you play 4 games every day over 3 days and you could only play 4 games a day and you're to come back tomorrow. So for one, if this is actually the change that we think that it is, that's a good thing. That's a part of this that I've been complaining about for a long, long time. That goes exactly against EA's philosophy, right? They want to make you log on every single day. Now you have the freedom to go play all 14 in one day if you want to. And then Donk comes out with this bit of news that we knew already, but he's kind of confirming the leak. And he's saying that today's Gauntlet is going to have objectives like this and not the ones like we used to have. So he says Gauntlet and tournaments will get easier from here. Due to many people finding it impossible to win the needed games, some of the best rewards are just win or play X amount. So I'm very, very curious to see at content time today what these changes actually amount to. Because if they are going to be easier, are we going to easily see that in the rewards themselves? Like, are the rewards going to get quite a bit worse and they're going to be easier to do, right? Because it's kind of a question of like, what would we rather have if that's the scenario here? And it's not like Gauntlet rewards were unbelievable, but would you rather have them stay the same or get a little worse but be easier? That's kind of the main question, I guess. Now, of course, EA could not change the rewards at all and just make things easier for kind of everybody. There's always a chance of that. I'm just thinking to myself, like, that's probably unlikely, right? I'm sure you guys are thinking the same thing. They're probably going to compromise a little bit, right? Now, the reward rumor is Benzema. It hasn't been confirmed, but that's the rumor right now. I do wonder if maybe they do the same level of win reward for this kind of card, where the card itself will be like the main top reward, and that's kind of the only tough reward to get. And other than Benzema, you get some pretty good packs by playing the games. And there's no more win condition for packs. Like, maybe that's the compromise, that they still want the sweaty players to kind of need their best teams, need certain things, but then also have it be a little bit easier for the casual-ish player. That maybe is what they do. I'm just speculating right now, but obviously, as we know, there's probably a give and take here, and it's like, what would we rather have? I don't know. We have to wait and see what this all looks like today at content time, but that's pretty much it for the Gauntlet stuff. Live events, there'll be some changes here too. We don't really have any live events that start soon apart from Season 1 Champions Excellence, which just has cosmetics in it, and that's kind of that. And then we have the Screamers tournament, comes out in a week, and this now is 30 entries. That was also not 30 entries before. That was, oh, I forgot how many it was. I think it was maybe like 5 or something like that. That now is 30. So for sure, no doubt about it, that's better to me, that you can play the games whenever the hell you want to. So thank you, EA, for that. I just worried that the rewards are worse. That's kind of summing up what we talked about for the last couple minutes here. And I do want to bring up too the season pass quickly, because, you know, are they going to price this at 500k again? Because season passes being 500k with coins more scarce is just ridiculous. And I'm sure it's going to be that, but that's something that I do wonder about. Maybe it would be cheaper if they listen to our feedback, but I don't, you know, that's just something that I don't expect at all here. If that was the case, they'd probably have announced it already and been like promoting that big time for good PR purposes, and not, you know, just have it pop up out of nowhere Wednesday night and be like, oh yeah, it's cheaper actually. They'd probably talk about that plenty ahead of time. So I would definitely not count on it. Now, also, it was daylight savings time today, and EA, I think, have yet to ever release content on time for daylight savings time. I think it's just impossible. We got 5 p.m. content and 6 p.m. content today, which I think is just funny. There's no real like problem with that. It just, for some reason, they cannot get it right every time. I still think eventually EA is going to do multiple content releases a day, just have the same amount of content, just split it up into like a few hours. I still think they're going to do that eventually. But okay, moving on here. Party Bag SBC is coming this Wednesday, says FIFA Trading Romania, and there are actually some pretty good cards you can get in this. If you guys don't know what this pack is, we looked at it in the last video. It's the campaign mixed player pack, 1 cornerstones or ratings reload, and that's the pack. So this, I suppose, is like a party bag now, because there's not many promos out yet. And like I said, some good cards in here. If we already are getting a party bag, we should see more of these this year. Just, you know, guessing there. But yeah, okay, moving on here, guys. We have got 5 more silver icons on the way in this new season, and all 5 of them are big names, and I actually really like these. I like the way they did it in this last season. And we got 5 huge names here: Pele, Jairzinho, Carlos Alberto, Beckenbauer, and Gerd Muller. Stats not official on them, so they're just predictions there, but like Pele being in there is awesome. I mean, all 5 are pretty awesome, but you know what I'm trying to say? It's actually looking better than season 1 pretty easily. And I believe we're going to have a silver tournament every season. I think there's 1 week of the year, 1 week of the season, sorry, every season where there is that silver league. So I think it's back every season. And the rewards were pretty good in that last one. We just got kind of lucky with the fact that they added 15 more games on. If there wasn't that extra 15 games, it was useful to go out and get these icons. Like, they were definitely better than other silvers. Like, Eusebio was tearing my asshole a new one. Yashin was pretty easily the best keeper, it seemed like. So there's definitely use for grinding these, and just beware of that when the new season comes out. Also, if you guys are getting close on one of these other season 1 icons, there's like 2 days left or 3 days left to go out and do them finally. And of course, they should be able to fit in evolutions here pretty soon. So it's going to be awesome to eventually have, you know, maybe in a couple months or something, a Pele that you can evolve. Like, you can put in an Evo, and it's going to have the animations and the body type and all that good stuff. So definitely excited to see what these cards end up looking like when they come out on Thursday. Random side note, I love now that the gold card design can like pop up on silvers like this with like Ngamoa. That's great. You know, that's just good stuff right there. Now let's go back to hating EA quick, because what in the shit happened to the PC version of this game in the last update? I would say it's at least half, if not more than half of every PC player cannot finish Division Rivals games. Some game modes they can play, others they can't. For some people, things like repairing the files or turning off crossplay or deleting their squad and remaking it has worked. So there's something weird going on, but not everybody's having a solution to it, or finding a solution, I should say. You have to go through and troubleshoot everything to try and find a fix. I mean, listen, the PC community is getting bigger. It's still quite small. But the fact that one update can just break it entirely is pretty insane. Now, if you guys are familiar with this whole field of work with game development, how does a patch like this just randomly affect things like this? Like, you can't finish a game because it's so glitched out. Like, how does that happen? And it's funny because EA's been so communicative, which has been awesome to see. But of course, with this one, there's no tweet, no forum post, no nothing, you know, just straight silence. I know it was the weekend, but just silence on this one. It's been 4 days and people just can't play the game. So sorry if you're on PC and you can't play. There are some like rumored fixes. You can try that. I don't know. But all right, let's discuss the market, because we've got Gauntlet today, right? That actually increased demand pretty heavily when the last Gauntlet was out. We've talked about Sunday sell-off like last week, maybe being a pretty good time to buy cards. I'm still along those lines. I do think it's a pretty good time here with Gauntlet. Rivals rewards, keep in mind, I think people won't really care about this week. This theory might be dumb, but because people know that next week Rivals rewards are getting better, they might not waste their time this week to play it, and they might just go, you know, going for next week and then play Gauntlet over the course of this midweek would be my guess. But we're kind of past all the huge content, right? We're past the Pogba SBC, the Alba, the Busquets, the full Scream team. You know, we're past a lot of the content here. The only thing really left is that icon pick that has Luis Hernandez, Robert Pires, and somebody else I'm forgetting, but it's not great. Of course, Scream team 2 might be nuts, but I do genuinely think that when these Scream cards get their 99 stat boosts, the market's going to be doing really well during those times, like that 7 days, because people are going to want to play games with their 99 stat players. A lot of SBCs out there right now. Rolfo, Pogba obviously being the biggest one. Phil Foden coming out today, right? People will want to play with them while they have their 99 stats. So I think that's not until the 5th of November, which is 8 days away from you guys watching this. So that's a ways away yet. And there is still some uncertainty as to what there might be for content next week. If it's really good, you might see some panic, right? So with both sides being considered here, what do? I actually think I'm fine buying cards. I do. Now, of course, be smart with it. Don't go out and buy, you know, Rashford at 14.8k. I know his price is that because of the Evo, but you know what I mean? Like, use common sense here. The low golds can go down a lot. Marcus Llorente, one SBC comes out, he's going down, right? But a card like this Aloe is 420k. I saw him earlier, I think yesterday, he was like 520. That's what his average buy now price was. He's down now to 420. I think it's a pretty fine buy for your team. Like, I think if you bought some cards now and you saw what it looks like Wednesday morning or late Tuesday night when Gauntlet's out and Rivals is kind of at the heat of its demand and they're up a good amount, then maybe you can think about selling, get some profit in there. But I don't really know what's going to come out to have these drop much. And we got Gauntlet coming into the game today. So I think you're probably fine to buy. It's not like the most absurd time, I think. I think that actually might be later into Thursday morning. And if there's a good leaks as well, I think like that time-ish will be a really, really good time to buy at that point, because then the Scream updates or Scream upgrades come out on the 5th. I'm telling you, people will want to play the game during that time. There will be huge gameplay demand when those Scream boosts are active. There will be big time gameplay demand. And fodder, guys, I don't want to buy this right now, but I wanted to bring it up because we have a new baseline now. The 85 to 87 upgrade existing makes 88s and 89s go way up because people had the fodder for 85 squads, 86 squads, and because of that, these big SBCs, people will go out and complete half of the squads for, say, you know, hypothetically, we get a Holland player of the month again, or we get another Mbappe player of the month, something like that. That's a very extreme example, but bigger SBCs, right? Say maybe a 500 to 600k SBC. People are like, hey, I can complete 4 of the cheaper squads. I'll go and do that. Maybe I'll save up to get the rest. That extends these a ton. So we need to be aware now that the 89s and 88s have a higher floor now. They just do. And EA doing that was smart by them because that will 100% make this fodder market continue to be high, which fodder in the last few years hasn't really been that high. And that's been one of the reasons people don't like opening packs as much. I pack an 88, he's worth 8k. And it's like, well, I need to pack about 255 88s to go and afford a certain card I want. So we'll buy these again soon. But right now, I don't want to buy these at these inflated prices. And okay, let's read some of your comments now. We've got Young Sosa, who is that Barry Bonds, by the way? Is that Barry Bonds or Tony Gwynn? I can't tell who that is. He says, EA has to stop listening to content creators on Twitter. They have some of the dumbest takes. If something isn't severely broken, don't change it. The creators cried about defending being bad. It gets buffed. Now it's the end of the world. And I think you're not entirely wrong here, but it's important to remember for, I think, just everybody, that this game is so popular that there are so many varied takes that you're always going to find people who are wanting one thing, wanting another, that I'm going to sound like an EA apologist here, which is insane, but they have to make a compromise. Like, they have to try their best to compromise with everybody and find a middle ground that most people are going to enjoy. And there will always be people who don't like certain things. And because of the nature of the algorithms nowadays, people who you disagree with are the guys you see. And the most outrageous takes are the ones you see because they get the most replies and engagement. So it's important to remember that most people are not like the guys you see on Twitter, because the guys you're seeing on Twitter oftentimes are the ones with the most ridiculous takes, because that's what the algorithm is feeding you. Same with like TikTok and to a lesser extent, you know, YouTube, like rant videos and stuff like that. But people with like that level-headed takes, oftentimes you don't see those guys because it doesn't create the engagement, which is one of the problems with the way that these sites work. This goes with just like every discourse on the planet with social media. It plucks out the worst opinions and it gives it to you, and then you think that's like an opinion that a lot of people have, when it's like probably not the case. Next up, Connor Mack. I hate this slow power curve. Playing with 85s and below gold cards is so shit they can't pass or move properly. This was something I was worried about going into this year, where if the power curve was going to be slower, I think gold cards needed to be better. I personally think they did do that this year. I think go back and use a gold Ekatike. Well, a better example is gold Rashford, right? Go back and use gold Rashford from the last couple of years. This year's gold Rashford is better. So I personally think they did do that. However, a lot of the stuff, Connor, is gameplay dependent. If you got shit gameplay, doesn't matter who you have, the game will feel like garbage. That's also why these debates oftentimes are so hard, because the gameplay is not consistent with everybody. So everyone's takes are so varied as is, it's hard to make a consensus gameplay opinion with anybody, let alone the fact that R2 gameplays can be a lot different at times, which is insane to say, but that's why this problem is even more exaggerated in this game more than others, because people's gameplays just, they don't play the same. And B Fano, I think I see people talking about the R1 nerf being needed. This is a stupid take. R1 before the patch was the only mechanic to punish park the bus merchants who just tackle spammed. Now people recover in hyperspeed after tackling multiple times, while you can't blow by fast enough for their dumb spams. It's ridiculous and stupid. The changes in general weren't bad, but the R1 nerf was a buff to anyone who just spams tackling buttons and parks the bus. And I don't disagree with this one either, because I think, to me, like I said in the last video, I think think you could have done every change and left R1 the same and nobody would have cared. Like, people were not complaining about R1 dribbling. It was the fidget spinning, quote unquote, which is left stick dribbling, because people somehow could not differentiate between the two. I was kind of shocked by the lack of like knowledge as to what people were doing against them, right? The fidget spinning, if that's happening against you, is left stick. It's not R1. You could still left stick with R1, but it was not like the insanely fast reaction to each individual dribble touch like just regular left stick dribbling was. Like the Claudia Pina. You know, if you were playing as Claudia Pina and she's like, you know, back to goal, putting your ass in you, going like back and forth, zigzagging, that kind of thing, that's left stick. So I was kind of surprised by people like not understanding the difference there, and people like being happy that the fidget spinning was fixed, or quote unquote fixed. It's like, I don't know if you want to have a game where that's too much different. I don't think you want to go back to like a game with less dribbling responsiveness. And I know that there's ways you can still like combat the fidget spinning, quote unquote, where maybe there's less stamina, where they blow by stamina more, or whatever. There are ways to combat it without getting rid of responsiveness per se. But anyway, the point is, like, yes, I think the R1 nerf to me, I just didn't think it was that needed. I did like with a Tech Plus player, if somebody did tackle spam, it was punishing. Like, it really was. I still think that's there to a certain extent. You just have to be a little more selective with your R1s. But yeah, it's going to be reverted to a certain degree. So I'm curious to see how reverted it actually is. And I'm sure we'll find out like later this week, probably. So anyway, guys, I think that's it for me. I love you all. Thank you all for watching every day. And I will see you soon. Peace.